Well, hello, brothers and sisters. It is so nice to be with you again. And I would like to give a special shout out to my new subscribers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is Readings with Regina, and I am Dr. Regina Jennings. And the reason that I put together this YouTube series is because I really want to engage our people to be more receptive to reading and not reading just to read. I have discovered that when a person reads, there are so many kinds of connections that happen within the brain that lead to excellent brain health. And if you have excellent brain health and heart health, you are a very healthy person. And when looking at a movie, I've said this before, to look at a movie or TV, that's a very passive action. Not that you shouldn't do it, but you really shouldn't look at TV too much because the people that put together television programs honestly don't always have your interests at heart. And it's a passive situation. You're taking in images put together by somebody else. Now, when you read, when you read language, it causes your brain to work more efficiently and effectively. And that's something that we all want while we are on earth. So I just wanted to give you that little background, especially my new subscribers, because those of you who have been hanging with me from the beginning, you already know that I've said this before. I also, let me add this too. I also want to get more people involved in reading and writing because in this era where you could just text, or email and do little shorthand for different kinds of phrases, that's not helping our people's brain to mature. In fact, it's stifling many of our youngsters from knowing how to write. Can't have that. Not for a young generation. Can't have that. And I want you to remember that you can certainly use this series as a Saturday school with and for your children. Be a parent. Have them watch this. Ask them questions at the dinner table afterwards. You can even give them a quiz on some of the things that I have said in this series. I know the children won't necessarily like that, but trust me, it will be very good for them. One of the colleges that I taught at was a very elite school. I won't mention its name, but in any event, it was mostly a white student population, and many of them were well off. And do you know, I learned from those students that every time they got a gift from an aunt or a cousin or a friend of the family, they actually had to write a thank you letter, not pick up the phone or text. Their parents made them write. So they were writing when they were little children. So by the time they got to college with me, they could write very well. They could write exceedingly well. And that does not often happen with our people. So I want to encourage writing. I want to encourage reading. Now, before I actually get into the books for today, I wanted to honor a question that I got from the good sister Donna, who always shows up here. And it's just a joy to, in fact, see her and to read her comments. And she had asked me if I was going to talk about the power of prayer in this series, especially today. And I am, because I did mention that I pray for you all the time. And I do. I absolutely do. The moment that I wake up in the morning, I pray for my people. In the evening, when I lay down to rest, I pray for my people. And why do I do that? It's not even a religious thing, although religion is fine. But I do this because I have learned about the power of prayer from medical doctors. And I'm going to be showing you some of the books that these doctors have written because they have scientifically studied patients that were prayed for and didn't even know they were being prayed for, and patients who were not prayed for, but each group had the same disease. And 80 to 90% of the time, the patients who were prayed for got better. They got better than the patients who were not prayed for. And this has happened repeatedly. So I want to show a major book that I learned about this process called Healing Words, okay? And it's by Dr. Larry Dossey. And in fact, Larry Dossey has written more than one book. This is his latest one. It's called One Mind. And again, it's by Dr. Larry Dossey, Dossey. Now, just about all of the doctors that I'm going to share with you today, this is what happened with them. They were all officially trained at some of the best medical schools. And they would notice that some of their patients would get better from various diseases, leukemia, cancer, whatever. But others of their patients would not get better. So they wanted to know why. And so one of the things that they did, especially Deepak Chopra, any book you can get by Deepak Chopra, get the book. Now, this one is called How to Know God. So one of the things that Deepak did, just like Larry Dossey, many of them went around the world. Oh, yes, they did. And they studied indigenous medical practices. They studied with shamans. They studied with spiritual leaders. And then they put concepts together that would indeed help their medical profession. In fact, I have several books by Deepak. Here's another one: 20 Spiritual Lessons for Creating the Life You Want. Now, again, these doctors prayed for their patients. They did their own particular experiments, praying for their patients. And in every case, the prayed for group got better, faster than the unprayed for group. In fact, I was in Five Below, I guess a couple months ago, and they had Deepak's, let me find that book. They had a little small version of Deepak Chopra's, I think it's called The Seven Spiritual Laws of, yeah, here it is. The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success. Now, in Five Below, everything in there is five and below. So they had a little caption of this particular book by Deepak. And I would encourage you to get that book because it's one you can carry with you. And even though it's small, it's got a lot of great knowledge in it. It will keep you popping. It'll keep you on top of things. See, because when you communicate with the universe or God, call it whatever you want, then that force comes back to you. Every human being on earth has an energy factor, an energy around them. In fact, have you ever walked into a room and you got like a bad vibe from somebody? You know what I mean? That's their energy coming out at you. Now, you may not always be right, but I bet you're right more than you are incorrect. But mostly I want you to just recognize that all of us on this planet Earth have an energy factor around us. It can be seen by some of the most sophisticated instruments that the medical community is using right now. Another book that I like is called Your Heart's Desire. It's by Sonia Choquette. Sonia Choquette. Now, why I like this book so much? Because it's a workbook too, where you get to answer questions about yourself. You can write them out. Okay. And she too, like the other authors, now she's not a doctor, she's a spiritual person. And she has this workbook where, like I said, you get to write out some of your problems, and then you can analyze them with some of the spiritual connections that she recommends. And this is her book, another book by Sonia Choquette. This is called The Psychic Pathway, another very inspirational book. And what I like again about her is that you're not even just reading, you are actually writing out some of your concerns, some of your challenges, and then she will give you ways that you can overcome them. Okay. And this is one of my favorite authors, Dr. Wayne Dyer. Any book by Wayne Dyer is a good book. Okay. He too went on a spiritual journey. Now, he's not a medical doctor, but indeed, he's been into spirituality for, I think, more than 40 or 50 years. He recently passed, but all of his work is just excellent. Oh, and this book here, wait a minute. This is the bomb. This is the bomb. It's called Dying to Be Me. It's by Anita Morjani. Dying to Be Me. And wait, she's not kidding. This woman, she's from India. She literally died. Oh, yes, she did. Oh, yes. I mean, the doctors called in her family, everybody, the priest was there. She was dying. Okay. All of the instruments that they had around her were flatlining. She was dying. Okay. And she had a spiritual experience that is unlike any other that I came across. She literally died and saw her dead father, and how people knew that she was telling the truth. Her story is here, and I highly recommend this book, because when they were thinking she had died, oh, she had cancer all throughout her body. I mean, she had tumors just everywhere. Maybe 60% of her body was nothing but tumors, and she went down to about, I think, 90 pounds or 80 pounds or whatever. The doctors knew she had died, but she came back. And they knew that she had died, but she told the doctors just about everything that they said while they thought she was dead. So that verified that her spirit had come out of her body, and she looked down at her physical self, and she could hear everything that was going on, not only in the room, the operating room that she was in, but also she recalled conversations that she heard around the corner from where she laid dying. So her story is magnificent. I've seen her in person, and she does online courses. I don't know where they are, but you can put in her name, and probably those courses, if she's still doing that, will come up. But this is Dying to Be Me. It is excellent. I mean, it will let you absolutely know, if you one of those people who are like atheists. I know a few. This gonna make you rethink your atheism. All right. Who else do I have here? Oh, I'm gonna do that last. This book is great. It's called Ancient Future, and it's by Wayne Chandler. And just like its name, Ancient Future, look, when you study Kemet, which is really Egypt, ancient Egypt, Egypt is a Greek word. The Black people in ancient Egypt called themselves Kemet, or they called their land Kemet. And they who built the pyramids, oh my God, the kind of spiritual knowledge they had, oh, you got to check that out. And so, ancient future, it might sound paradoxical, ancient future, because future isn't ancient, but it is. And he deals with the soul. Very good book. And he also talks about one of my favorite Kemetic deities, Tahuti, Tehuti. The Greeks called him Hermes. And Tahuti, he's even in the Bible. I just don't know which verse, and I didn't have time to look it up. But oh my goodness, the kind of philosophic, scientific knowledge that he drops, this particular god, and also he's supposed to be the god of writing in ancient Kemet. So, ancient future, well done. Who else? This is the one. This is the one. The African Unconscious. Oh my stars. Roots of Ancient Mysticism and Modern Psychology by my good friend Edward Bruce Bynum. This book is so deep because it talks about the dimensions around all of us as people that we cannot see. There are all kinds of layers and energetic forces, that come from the atmosphere, that come from the sun, that come from the moon, that come from the stars. It's like getting to know your planet, but it's like really getting to know some of the mysteries of life. Like in this book, he says, one, he wants to explain how the genetic, psychic, spiritual, and cultural origins of our species, Homo sapiens sapiens, are traceable to a collective and common African origin. I've always talked about the first people that the Creator put on earth were of African origin. So that means that every other group comes out of that African essence. So he talks about that. And it comes from a common African origin in spite of apparent differences between peoples based on race, language, cultural style, spirituality, geographic location, and even era in history. This is what he discusses in his book. Two, to reveal the innumerable ways in which all human beings are interwoven on the loom of a primordial collective African unconscious. Three, to demonstrate how the many pathways to our literally felt and experienced psycho spiritual awakening and unification with the energy of the universe are inextricably connected to the genetic, psychic, spiritual, and cultural processes that are rooted in the African origin of our species. Now, this is not an easy read. I will tell you that. And his latest book, Dark Like Consciousness, I think I done read that 5 different times. This one I read at least 10 different times. Why? Because I wanted to use some of his work in my own book. Let me pull it up. Poetry and the Black Panther Party, From Ancestral Memory, Morphogenetic Fields to Hip Hop. The ancestral memory and the morphogenetic fields come straight out of Edward Bruce Bynum. He is a brilliant man. So I highly recommend this work. And let's see, what else do I have for you? Okay. Lord have mercy. This book, I know I've said they're all the bomb. Well, they are. They are. But what I like about this book, Becoming Supernatural, oh, Becoming Supernatural is by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Now, what I want you all to do when you go on YouTube, go to Dr. Joe Dispenza's testimonials. You will see people of all races, of all cultures, of all ethnicities in little short videos say to you, I went to Dr. Joe's workshop. I, I had cancer. Now I don't have it anymore. I couldn't walk when I went to his workshop. I was in a wheelchair. Now I can walk. Y'all, I'm telling you, Becoming Supernatural. I just read this regularly, okay? Because I have healed myself twice from some major diseases. All right. What I love about this book that is not in the other books, although all of my books are good. Everything I mentioned here is worth you getting. What his workshops, they are a week long now. He started off doing like a 3-day workshop. But then as he saw people over time really get better in 3 days, he elongated it to 7 days, his workshops. They are all around the world, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Now, what is so remarkable about this work is that he has a team of scientists who put, I don't know what they're called, but like uh, wires, not wires that would hurt you, but wires that can track your brain movement as you meditate. Because much of what he gives you are various meditations that take you out of your skin. I don't know how else to put it, and really connect you to the energy of the universe. Now, if you are connected totally to the energy of the universe, if you can calm down your mind and really step into that morphogenetic field or information field or 0 point field that these doctors are talking about, then if you can step inside of that energy, then you can heal. And that's why I want you to look for his testimonials online, okay, and hear from the people who have healed through his techniques. So then the scientists that are coming and have come to his workshops, they have computers set up to monitor the waves within the brain so that they can now calculate how the deeper you go into a meditation and what it means on your entire body. So they can kind of calculate when a person is about to heal. And they have remote healing sessions. All right, so that's Dr. Joe Dispenza. Let's see, who else did I want to show? Oh, The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. Now, in this book, you will actually see the experiments that were done on patients who were prayed for, patients who were in a placebo, that is, patients, I'll stay with cancer. Cancer patients were given a drug, at least they thought it was a drug, to help eradicate their illness, but it wasn't. It was not. One group was given an actual drug, another group was given a placebo. It's called a placebo, where a drug is not really a drug. Both of these groups were prayed for. Both of these groups got well to an extent. And what is so remarkable is this: the people who really were not given a drug, they got well too. It was the biology of belief. It was their power to believe that my body can heal. This is what they believed, and they got well. So Bruce Lipton's book is very important. Okay, he is a biologist. Okay, let me see it. One more. These are called the Four Agreements, and this is by Miguel Ruiz. He is a Mexican shaman, I will call him. And by the way, his book also was selling at Five Below. So you could get a little teeny version of this book. And like I said, with the other one, you can carry it around with you and have a conversation, an internal conversation with yourself. Okay? That will help you to become the best you that you could be while on this planet. And this is what we want. We want you at your best. My goodness, let me see. Donna. Hi, Donna. Very good. Can you read summary what the book is? Which book are you talking about, Donna? Because I certainly, for you, yes, I will give you a summation. I know I've given you many different books here today, but what's nice about this series, especially this one, this will be on YouTube. So you can always go back and look at the particular books and listen to what I have to say. Then you can, make another comment, get in touch with me if you want more information. Okay, let's do it like that, because at this point I'm not exactly sure which book you're talking about. But let me just say this to you, Donna. Really, every book that I've mentioned is a great book. When you posed that question the last time we were together to me about the power of prayer, all of these books deal with the power of prayer. All of them. Okay. And it might be in different versions. For example, Anita Morjani, Dying to Be Me. Her prayer situation was different than from what Larry Dossey, the medical doctor, what his prayer was. Hers was different, but it was still prayer. Okay. And I mean, Larry Dossey, he's so funny. He would even go into his office and he had a rattle that he got from indigenous Africa, and he had a drum, and he would think up different patients, and he would shake his rattle and beat his drum. And darn if them patients didn't get better quicker than the patients that he didn't do this little ceremony for. And he got so carried away in one experiment because he had incense going, because he had studied with some other shamans, and shamans normally have incense of some kind. Well, he was burning his incense, and it set off a smoke alarm in his hospital. He was so embarrassed. But the point is, these medical doctors prove the power of prayer, the power of using your language to help somebody heal. So when I say to you, every time I do my series here, how y'all doing? I have prayed for you. I love you. I mean that. I absolutely mean that, because our people need not only to hear, Frederick Douglass. I was also going to introduce you to a man named Martin Delany. I'll just talk about him, but I'll read about him next time we're together. This is a brother. He was born in 1812, Martin Delany, 1812. His mother was a free Black woman. And you might remember from earlier sessions, I said slavery was determined by the mother. If the mother is a slave, her children are slaves. So if the mother is free, then her children are free. But check this out. Martin Delany's mother was married to an enslaved man. Do you understand these relationships that we had during bondage? She's free, but she's married to an enslaved man. But anyway, her son, Martin Delany, was able to get a little bit of education. In fact, I shouldn't even just say a little bit. He was able to get a lot of education because he became a doctor. But just guess how he became a doctor? Because of enslavement, he would sit outside of a medical class because, you know, the white boys didn't want him near them. So he would sit outside the door and take notes. And that's how he was able to become a doctor. Not only that, Martin Delany, and this is in real life now, Martin Delany hated slavery just like Frederick Douglass. So what he did, he figured out ways to stop slavery that are just remarkable. For one, he wanted all the enslaved Africans to go to Central America, for example, South America, develop produce there, and then sell it around the world. This is how he thought. He even went to the African continent. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And made deals with some of the African chiefdoms to have the enslaved Africans come home and develop products that they could sell back to the Americas or even to the Europeans. That's Martin Delany. He hung out with Frederick Douglass. Him and Frederick Douglass worked on a newspaper. Yes, the North Star. So there were newspapers, Black, during our enslavement, and there were also Black magazines during our enslavement. Because everybody Black wasn't a slave, but most Blacks were enslaved. So this book is called Blake or the Huts of America. It's a novel. What Martin Delany did was write a series about a Black nationalist freedom fighter, rebeller during slavery. And let me just tell you this about the importance of this book. When I have assigned this book to college students, over the years, there have been several Black men who came to my office and said, Professor Jennings, can I just read this book? You can just test me, quiz me on anything in this book. They have never heard of such a Black man who really lived like the character that Martin Delany created. In fact, Martin Delany was such a famous Black man. He lived during the Civil War. President Abraham Lincoln made him a general of Black troops. I mean, Martin Delany was just, he was just tremendous, tremendous. But he created, or I should say, and he created a fictional character based upon some of the brothers that he actually met who were enslaved but had a Black nationalist mentality. And this is even before Marcus Garvey. Martin Delany was talking about Black self-help and Black unity during slavery. So I don't have time to read this today, because I really wanted to, as much as I can, answer Donna's question. And yes, Donna, we are talking about praying to God. See, God has a lot of different names by different groups. I'm sure you know that. So when I say the universe, when I say, well, I normally say the universe, I'm talking about God. I'm talking about God. I'm talking about the creator of this world and other worlds around us. So, yes, ma'am, whatever your religion is, that's what I'm talking about. Well, brothers and sisters, I thought I might take this long today, but again, Donna's question was so important that I felt I should give it my best to answer it. And once again, the video will be up on YouTube. So you certainly can come back to it, look over those books as much as you want. I believe all of the books that I am reading and sharing with you are in a library if you don't have any money. So borrow the books, read along with me, use this video, this series, as an after school Saturday program for your children and for your family and for your friends. So, my beloved brothers and sisters, I do pray for you all the time. I know I said in the beginning of the program, I pray in the morning, I pray in the evening. I do, but I also pray whenever I think about praying. And I pray for you because I love my people and I want us to be the best that we could be. And when I have shared this history with you, you know the kind of misery that our ancestors went through. So the very least I can do is to pray for you and your good health. Okay. Well, I'm going to be signing off for now, and I will see you again on Tuesday of next week. Bye now.